So, question 3, discussion. Again, the tutor's brief on page 11. The discussion points are in yellow. Now, we need to discuss the points to prove and the unlawful activity. So, we have the predicate crime in relation to the trafficking of drugs. Now, the drug dealer lives in a house with his wife and has 2 other properties. Is there an audit trail that shows the profits from the criminality are being invested in the property? That would be fairly straightforward. So with your financial investigator, is there any legitimate income from the drug dealer? If not, how is he able to afford the properties? Equally, does his wife have any legitimate income? If the property is in her name, is there an irresistible inference that she must have known that the proceeds for the purchase of the property must have come from unlawful activity? What is the lifestyle like inside the property? Is there a lot of wealth shown off within the property? So again, let's look at the Anti-Money Laundering Act and Section 1, Subsection 1. So a person commits an offence of money laundering if the person knows or ought to have known that property is or forms part of the proceeds of unlawful activity. So if there is a direct audit trail that would show money coming in, you know about when drug transactions are taking place, there's an amount of money in an account and that is used to pay for a mortgage or the purchase of a property, then the drug trafficker would know that it's come directly from that unlawful activity. Drug trafficking, obviously a serious offence. In relation to the wife, would she ought to have known? So this is where, does she have any other income? Is she aware when you question her in relation to the income and the derivation of the income in relation to purchase of the property and paying a mortgage or otherwise from her husband? There are a lot of points for asking her questions in interview. At the very best, you must arrest her and then put questions to her in relation to the points to prove for money laundering. But working closely with your financial investigator and also prosecutor to ensure that there is an action plan about what activities you need to undertake for an investigation. So looking at an audit trail, because you're thinking about ought she have known. So looking as to whether there are any other income streams. And then in terms of the actus reus, well, what have they done? Have they converted, concealed, disguised, acquired, used, or taken possession? Well, the case theory is that the money has come from the drug trafficking and then it is used to purchase the property. So the proceeds of the unlawful activity has been converted into the properties, the one they're living in and the 2 other properties. Why would their property be put in her name and not in his name? Isn't that evidence of the fact, albeit circumstantial, that he doesn't want his name on the title deeds because he wants to distance himself from the property? What are you linking him to in terms of the property? Has he taken any part of converting or disguising or transferring the money that becomes the properties in question? So you're going to have to look at all of these points in terms of the actus reus, how it links to each subject, and then whether they knew or ought to have known, the mens rea. Once you have those points to prove and you have all of the documents together or as much as you can, then that's when you do your interview, sending out a clear interview plan on the points to prove and making sure that you apply section 46 in relation to, well, is there any alternative explanation as to how they have acquired this property if they don't have legitimate income. Think also, if the wife does have a legitimate income, does she have enough to be able to afford 3 properties? So all of these points you need to discuss with the investigator to make sure you have a clear action plan and you have a targeted timeline in terms of when you want to achieve each action, and then you can consider in the round as to whether you charge in the presentation of your case.